morning, gentle people. Are you recording that?
Yeah, I think it's recording.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll see. Laura decided that she thinks it'd be really cool if I were to greet you each day by calling you gentle people.
Mm-hmm. I think you should have a name for your friends, and I feel like Ortbergians doesn't really work. You don't want to do,
No, that would be hideous.
Yeah, so gentle people. Yeah. Good morning, gentle people.
We'll take that under advisement. If you want to write and vote on this, yes or no, gentle people is the name of the Fellowship of the Withered Hand. Take a shot at it, but I don't think that's going to be it. Hey, also sit up, because see how low your head is?
Geez. Well, your head's just massive. That's just like an
okay,
orange.
So you were made to count. We're talking about that these days, and I thought it would be really fun because we're getting to hang out a little bit together to have Laura talk about some words along this line that she has been grappling with quite a lot, and I think a lot of us do. So go ahead, gentle person.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm aiming to be a gentle person. This is a prayer that I have found a lot of meaning in, and you may have too. It's a prayer about the slow work of God. I first encountered it in the Ignatian group that I'd been part of for a little while. And this is the prayer. I've tried to memorize it. I feel like I'd be a better Christian if I memorized it and closed my eyes to prove it to you and said it right now, but I haven't, so I'm just going to read it. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new. And yet it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that it may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Do not force them on as though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances acting on your own goodwill, will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming in you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that his hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. And the prayer was written by a guy named Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. I never can say his name correctly, but one of the things I like about him is he was a paleontologist as well as a Jesuit. And so the fact that he worked with, bones and fossils and things that took tens of thousands of years to be discovered that were kind of waiting to be excavated means I think he knew something about patience and the way that the world worked and the way that we are not the center of it in the way that we or I often so like to think we are. And to me, that's a very reassuring feeling. And to kind of connect it, it makes me feel freed up to be able to count in a way, like a kind of the same sense of awe and reverence as there is in the Psalm when he writes, "What is man that you are mindful of him?" This idea that we can exist and we can know that God is mindful of us, and there's no pressure in that. We are part of a very large tapestry. I love that.
And there's just such a sense of freedom the way that you talk about it, that I don't have to be in a hurry, because if I'm in a hurry, there's always this sense of pressure that's attached to hurry. Yeah. And I was struck by what he said about accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete.
He wasn't even a therapist. No, I think that's that line at the very end was so resonant to me the first time I read this prayer, because it's like he knew that what he was saying would come with anxiety. He knows that waiting comes with a sense of uncertainty that drives us towards fear of not knowing, fear of being incomplete. Like that's a scary thing. And I think there's something really reassuring in knowing that this man who was a, French paleontologist and Jesuit a century ago understood that feeling that I think we all can feel.
I remember reading a while ago an essay that said for people growing up in your generation felt this burden that if you're not like Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of a
Mhm.
giant corporation by the time you're 25,
Yeah.
then you
What
really
have you
kind of
even
failed.
done?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I
Is
think
that
that's I mean, and I think there's a lot of probably many different generations have had that, but the growth of the internet, the ability to see what it feels like everyone is doing, and then compare myself to people who have made an enormous impact, whether for good or for ill, have just had something huge in their lives. It can feel like this invidious comparison that breeds anxiety, envy, fear, etc.
I was thinking when you told me you're going to read that of a book, so I'm going to read a little bit from this, and then would love for you to say a word or two to people about everybody who wrestles with this. What do they do with that? What do you find it helps you trust the slow work of God in your life?
We'll see what I have to say about that.
We will.
Who knows?
So this is from a Japanese theologian who wrote a book quite a few years ago about the 3 mile an hour God.
Oh, I like that.
And he says, I find that God goes slowly in his educational process of man. We would say human beings 40 years later.
We would be PC about it, okay?
Oh, thank you for laughing at my attempts to try to be like aware.
No, yeah, like
and
aware.
non-patriarchal.
Like aware, it's good.
Okay, go ahead, mock away.
We.
40 years in the wilderness, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, points to his basic educational philosophy. 40 years of natural migration through the wilderness, 3 generations of united monarchy, 19 kings of Israel, and 20 kings of Judah, the hosts of prophets and priests, the experience of exile and restoration. Isn't this rather a slow and costly way for God to let people know about the covenant? God walks slowly because he is love. If he is not love, he would have gone much faster. Brings to mind, I don't know why, a Wayne Newton song from the 1970s, Daddy, Don't You Walk So Fast. That's a really loose association, never mind.
It's really weird.
Love has its speed. It is an inner speed, it is a spiritual speed. It is a different kind of speed from the technological speed to which we are accustomed. It is slow, yet it is Lord over all other speeds, since it is the speed of love. It goes on in the depth of our life, whether we notice it or not, whether we are currently hit by storm or not. At 3 miles an hour, it is the speed we walk, and therefore it is the speed the love of God walks.
That's
So,
really lovely.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah, the speed of love is 3 miles an hour. That's
Yeah.
the speed at which people are meant to walk, and God became one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do to help you trust the slow love of God in an impatient world?
I mean, I think the first, I don't most of the time. I think
yeah.
a lot of the time it's, I don't want to present like this is a thing that I sort of have figured out. I think the practices that help are, I mean, one of them, as a lot of folks with young kids will know or remember having young kids. There's nothing like that for needing to slow down, failing to slow down sometimes. Our daughter, who is a couple months old, I'll be feeding her and reading something or looking at my phone, and I'll look down at her and realize she's smiling at me and just think, good God, where did my mind go that she's smiling at me and I wasn't even looking at her? And at the same time, to have compassion for myself that the mind wanders, and to bring it back to God is good. I think one of the things, like thinking of that 3 mile an hour God, walking with God, again, that's not something that...
Yeah, it's interesting. The Bible doesn't say run with God.
No, the Bible doesn't say run with God. 40 years later, we would say speedily pick up one foot in front of the other. 40 years on.
I don't know why I put myself through this.
Woke runners.
Uh-huh.
But there is something about like physically restraining myself from when I feel like I'm in a hurry and active and need to go, go, go. If I can slow my body down through breathing or through walking slowly, and then think about God walking in the garden in, what's the phrase? The cool of the day.
Cool of the day.
Like, that's so beautiful. And where else do I want to be in my life but there, walking with God while I'm with my kids, while I'm working, while I'm receiving Slacks and emails and text messages, like if I could keep my mind and my heart walking with God in the cool of the day and thinking of God wanting to walk with me in the cool of the day, what a beautiful thing. That's such a
Thank you.
beautiful image and a picture of God's love. And so this idea that attention is love, it's focused love, and I can receive that from God. That's a practice that helps me.
That's so good. Yeah, I was just reading the other day. We so often will talk about time as a precious commodity instead of a gift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a gift. So
Yeah.
take a deep breath today, 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because the moment when you see your little baby smile at you goes real fast, and then you wish you had it back.
Mhm.
They never come back, but another one comes, and another one comes. 3 miles an hour with God. Trust the slow work.
Amen.
Love you.
Human beings.
You gentle people.
Hope that was good for you, gentle people.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us here at BecomeNew.me. If you'd like to receive the daily emails that go along with each video, let us know at becomenew.me@gmail.com. Or if you want prayer, you can text us at 855-888-0444.